By saying it's just one of the most extended introductions I've ever had. Given that.
You're well worth it.
I'm glad this venue is continuing on. I mean, I would have really missed it if for any reason it had faded out. So let me begin. Temper tantrum. Mother Nature really lost her poise last night. The frustration must have been building for some time. She carried on with unrestrained fury for hours, lashed out at anything within reach, ripped trees from the ground, shrieked and wailed through branches and telephone lines. Tears came in downpours that surged through gullies and creek, gouged the bank, commandeered bushes and brush as passengers for watery roller coasters racing through downstream towns. At dawn, the last of the clouds that furrowed her brow glided away, and she stepped into the new day smiling sweetly, all rainbows and dewy flowers, as if nothing had happened. Father Time. Father Time strolls through the neighborhood every day, hands in his pockets, collar of his trench coat turned up so people won't notice, leaving a gray hair here, a slower step there. Little things the new owners can never put a date on. Welcomed by the young, he is later ignored, later still feared. A colleague of Mother Nature's, he devotes much effort to ruining her work. Stingy and slow with his gifts of experience and wisdom, often revealing them only after he has lowered their value or taken something else in exchange. First trip to Vegas. Way ahead at the craps table, I picked up my chips when the croupier gave a nod to someone behind the bettors. Underage winners are never casino darlings, and a strong voice asked my age. I was already moving toward an exit. Security men in pursuit, I swept past two mammoth bouncers, glided like an eel through schools of middle-aged men in leisure suits, their wives lost to slot machines. A handful of dollar chips tossed on the floor behind me assured enough confusion for a dash out the door to a taxi. 3 cab rides later, I stood alone on the street, leaving a town the chips would see before I did, discreetly cashed in by an uncle on a trip west 2 months later. Living within the law. What living within the law means to me, an English class essay assignment long ago, was less complicated then than now. The edges of the law are shrouded in fog, lined with reefs, rocks, and shoals, a no man's land that changes as tides rise and fall. Poorly mapped, traveled by the unwary, unlucky, regiments of adventurers, criminals, lawyers, its language heavy with semantic minefields. By turns, the reach of the law extends, not as far as what they know, only as far as what they can prove. Not as far as what you might have done, only as far as what you were caught doing. The law has its limitations, exceptions, admits to neither until proof amounts to statements of the obvious. Its enforcers prefer to achieve justice, but some who cannot will settle for a conviction. Living within the law is not always the right thing to do. Sometimes one must evade, bypass, jump over the law to secure justice, admit to no such thing, deny it if necessary, and above all, keep one's mouth shut. treehouse. The short-lived treehouse phase of childhood centered on a large oak in a woodlot near home. Old boards, doors, windows, destined for a landfill, took shape as a haunt worthy of Peter Pan. Dumb luck led us to a discarded wood stove small enough to hoist on a rope. Total amateurs at installation and use, we sent clouds of smoke billowing through the woods. Secret hideout complete, the idea of discovery never occurred to us. Sirens began to wail revelation. Half the town arrived as spectators. The landowner appeared, declared enough was enough, everything had to go. News reporters started scribbling. The photographer took a picture that made the front page, showing the fire department confiscating the stove. One that's not in any book. First love. It was the when you wish upon a star time of approaching adulthood, old enough to fall in love, young enough to be naive, almost helpless, as emotion caught us up, carried us along. When we got lost in each other's eyes, the moment pushed everything else aside, the past forgotten, the present everything, the challenges of the future acknowledged with vague comments about dealing with them when they arrived. Memory, that great distorter of the past, now gives us what we want to remember. Young love unmarred by harsh realities the world deals out. We rode on clouds, wandered among rainbows, until wisdom brought us back to earth, but we would never be quite the same ever again. Word on the street. There goes another noun running for its life. Through streets awash in rumors of literary renegades who seize nouns at random, work them over in back rooms, alleys, turn them loose with split personalities, confused about their identities as both noun and verb. Traditional verbs are aghast. Scholars stand helpless as pulp writers and slang specialists cruise the streets in search of another chance to peddle change for its own sake as improvement. Words look over their shoulders, sense the evolution of language approaching with the cold relentlessness of a glacier, grinding words, phrases, rules into new forms without anyone's permission. These are dark and dangerous times. Verbs are starting to worry about job security. Paranoia is rampant among gerunds. Pronouns speculate about gender identity. The way things are going, no word is safe. Questions for the dead. I'd like to ask my great-grandfather why he ran away from home at 15 and lied about his age to join the Union Army. From one grandfather who logged in the Adirondacks, I'd ask about French Louis, what Louis was like when he knew him. From the other, and both grandmothers, what it was like coming to America in the early 20th century. I'd ask my father about his experiences as he worked his way through college during the Depression. My mother would surely tell me, if I could ask her, about waiting in line to walk past the casket of Rudolph Valentino. Given the chance, I'd badger my earliest ancestor in America for a comment about an article covering his part in our family history that included the line, "He died under mysterious circumstances," leading to a long-held suspicion that he was murdered by his wife. If someday, somewhere, I managed to meet all these people again, or for the first time, They'll probably tell me they'd like it if I would just slow down for a while. There's no rush about this. No one's going anywhere. Cancer clinic. They filled the waiting room, the fearful, the resigned, the stoic, waiting for advice, help, fighting an enemy that will kill many of them anyway. The best medical personnel know psychology, compassion are as important to patients being able to sleep at night as the medical treatment they receive. All are on a common road, alone and together at the same time. The unknowns of each journey await travelers like snipers in a tree line. And the roadside, thick with one-way signs, has no rest stops. Some manage to get off the road. For others, it winds on and on through a landscape of dwindling options. Then, at the end, leads upward into the stars. Last train. He worked in soot and grime at rail yards, knew all the crews, the bump and rattle of moving cars, ring of steel against steel. Time moved him up the line to the lair of dragons steeped in fire and steam before each rumbled down the rails on a last run and vanished. Every neighborhood family knew him as a friend, faithful as a fireman stoking a boiler to keep the timetable. If you needed help on a cold night, a shed a hobo could sleep in, a story to send the blues packing, he was your man. The night he died, a train of mist and shadow pulled up to my house in a dream. Some of the faces on the windows seemed familiar, but it wasn't the local. There was no bell, no steam shrieking from the whistle, only the slow click-clack of the wheels as it started forward, and on the platform of the last car, before everything faded away, a smile, a wave, as he stepped inside. And I'll finish with a poem that gives a nod to Memorial Day. People you kill never leave you. By the way, Tom, in 1967, I was in school and I was never in the train. The closest I got was Cameron Bay. People you kill never leave you. The war someone else thought was necessary sweeps you up, throws you into a situation with no way back. There is nothing else to do except pull the trigger, throw the grenade, hug the ground as shrapnel, smoke, screams rush over you. Maybe in a fleeting instant you see him. Sometimes you only hear him, but what you see or hear tells you he is dead and you have won your own life for another day. Back behind the wire, where you can sleep on a mattress instead of dirt and weeds, he makes his first visit before exhaustion pulls you away. Others may join him before your tour is over and you ride the Freedom Bird back to your own country, but little that happens is within your control. Far from the war that grinds on without you, you find he has followed you home to reappear in your life in an unpredictable collage of unlikely times, unlikely places. He jumps out of the past with no regularity from the springboard of a chance remark, a scene on TV, a summer night when shadows move in the wind. Your mortality starts to factor in as the rotation of time brings declining abilities, funerals of contemporaries, Veterans Day documentaries that class the years of your service as history. The long road of making peace with yourself passes slowly under your feet. When you begin to sense the progress it brings, you become aware that people you kill never leave you, but have a role to play in the process. Perhaps years from now, you will meet in another realm, sit in a small cafe on the off hours over cups of coffee, and you will tell him you thought of him often, how sorry you are for killing him. Then hear his apology for trying to kill you as the realization sinks in that you have very much in common after all.
Woohoo! Oh, Amidon!